All right, hello. Very recently, we got a leak on what a lot of the Warframe passives that are going to be added to the game are going to be, and I have a list of them here. So, I figured now is as good a time as any to go over all of the passives that we know about. And there are two Warframes that did not get leaked. They're placeholders right now, which is Limbo and Loki. And those two are actually very important as to what they get, so I'll be interested to see what they get. But as for all of the rest of the Warframes, now seems like a good time to kind of go over them. And I may put out a smaller video that addresses Limbo and Loki when we know more. But let's just get right started with Ashe. These in the listing are listed as like Ashe and Ashe Prime. I don't think there are any differences, but if there are, I'll make sure to note them. So, for Ashe, he's going to get an enhanced duration and damage to bleed effects, which is very important for Ashe because a huge majority of the damage from his 4 comes as bleeds afterward, which is true damage. Just in general, getting more duration and damage from bleed effects is already very good. Using a lot of like slash-based weaponry, like say using the Dread, that can actually significantly impact your damage that you're doing because slash procs are so good. Basically, this is just a raw increase in the amount of damage that Ashe can put out, especially with his 4. It's like even like if this was as low as a 5% increase, 5% on the amount of like damage that you can kind of expect from Ashe to do in his 4 is actually pretty significant, up to a pretty reasonable level. So that'll be really nice. Next, we've got Atlas. Atlas already has his passive. This is whenever he's touching the ground that he doesn't get knocked down. It has proven to be a very good passive on a somewhat lackluster Warframe. Another new one, Banshee. Banshee, I think, is actually getting one of the better passives here, especially for the way that Banshee is kind of regularly played. For Banshee, all of her weapons, just all of them, anything that she uses, is going to be silenced. This is really actually very important for Banshee. And because while you could do this with your silence ability already, having it all the time will probably actually really help certain Banshee builds that go for like lower duration, more spamminess. And the reason for that is because whenever your weapons are silenced in the game, it lowers your threat. And threat determines what enemies are going to be shooting at. So if you have your gun silenced always, your threat is going to already be naturally lower than your teammates who will most likely not be using silenced weapons. Which, because Banshee has somewhat inconsistent crowd control whenever she's not locked down in her 4, will make her a lot more survivable just by proxy of her threat being lower. Which is actually a pretty big enhancement. And then just in general, like, having silent weapons, pretty good. Not bad. Chroma already has his passive, which I think he should probably get something on top of this, if I'm being completely honest, is just that his element changes whenever you change his energy color. Very lame, I know. Ember. So, Ember is another one that, like, this is rank affecting passive, depending on the way that this is going to actually function. So, when Ember ignites an enemy, which she does with, pretty much all of her fucking abilities, she gains increased damage on her abilities, and she regenerates her energy. So, the big question here that we don't have the answer to is, if you're in your 4, and you're igniting all these enemies, are you getting energy refunded for that? Because that opens Ember up to a lot more, like, higher damage, lower efficiency builds, because she can have an influx of energy. And that would be very, very powerful and give Ember more of like a solidified, like, what does this Warframe do? Because she's kind of like fine, but not really outstanding right now. And I think that a passive that works while World on Fire that's very unique to Ember, could actually make her way more useful. And just in general, be like definitely like solidified as like uniqueness. Definitely one of the best passives on this list, like by a pretty large margin. Being able to regenerate energy when you do the thing that you're always doing anyway is great. And then just a boost to her damage, no matter how small, it'll add up over time. Very good. And then we've got Equinox. Equinox already has her passive, which is she has, don't remember what Equilibrium. She has like a base level Equilibrium just installed at all times, and what that does is like whenever you pick up energy, you get some health. Whenever you pick up health, you get a little bit of energy. Kind of a lackluster passive, to be completely honest, but it's something. Excalibur similarly also has his passive already. This is whenever he's using any single sword, which includes Nikana's, regular single swords, and I actually don't think it affects machetes, but Nikana's and regular long swords, he gets 10% more attack speed and 10% more damage, which is a good passive, works on his Exalted Blade, it's good with his kit, so that's a fine one. Frost also already has his is probably one of the worst ones in the game. This is similar to the Unairu focus boon, where if you get hit, you will freeze an enemy. Pretty much completely useless because Frost is already like the king of controlling things, and if he gets hit in melee, something has probably already gone wrong. One of the worst things, probably, pretty easily. Hydroid. This is another new one. So for Hydroid, and I don't know... Hydroid in general, I think, just needs a rework, and I like this passive, but it poses a problem that the devs have said previously, and that is Hydroid, whenever he's standing in any source of water, will regenerate health. The problem with that is that there's not water in all tile sets, as far as I know right now, and while there is water in a pretty good amount of them, how much that's going to be able to help Hydroid, where regenerating your health is not... Like, does this work when he's in his 3? When he becomes water, does he start regenerating health just kind of normally? Can you get into some water and then use your 3 and have some safe regen without needing his augment? Like, what can you do with this? Hydroid's not very useful right now. I can see the potential for this passive in being very good, but just with the way Hydroid is right now, it's kind of meh. But a good passive at the very least. Probably his best thing about him now, which is kind of sad. Besides the loot, of course, which is whatever. Inaros already has it's his sarcophagus. Whenever he dies, he goes in the sarcophagus, all that stuff. Ivara has innate enemy radar on a small scale. That's what her passive is. Limbo and Loki, these ones are the ones that are not leaked currently. Very interested to see these. Mag. So, Mag has one that is... I don't know how it's going to work, but it might make Mag very, very fast. So Mag's passive is going to be that she is unaffected by gravity while bullet jumping. And I don't know if that's going to make her bullet jumps like incredibly fast or incredibly floaty or just give them tons of height. I'm not sure how exactly like the physics are going to work out in game for when you're bullet jumping in 0 gravity. It'll be really interesting to see. Mag might end up being incredibly mobile, and that would be really cool. I would love to see that. It's a kind of a neat passive on a Warframe who's already like probably going to be very good after the rework. So I'm down for that. I'm willing to like say that could be an actual good potential boon. Then we have Mesa. Mesa actually already has her passive. If she's not using a melee weapon, she gains 75 health, I believe it is. And then also, oh yeah, she has enhanced proficiency while using secondary weapons, which I think that affects her reload, and maybe one other thing about secondaries. I don't remember the exact specifics of her secondary stuff. And then as for Mirage, Mirage does all acrobatic movement faster, all her animations are quicker. She's already had this passive, that's what's going to be up with her. And then we have a very good one on Necros. Okay, so Necros is well, it's making a build that I don't think is very fun, good, and then also in general is an improvement to Necros. So Necros is going to regain health when enemies die near him, which, as all of you that have played as Despoil Necros, where you're using your health as mana, that's real fucking good. That's real good for despoiling, because it basically means that you're never going to run out of that shit whenever you're farming. You're just going to be like basically topped off forever, which is great for that build, but in general, like, in general, it's a good passive. I just wish that Necros was less of like a press 3 slave, but it does make everything about Necros better. It's a great passive, like, let's just be real here. Neja already has his super slidiness. Super slidiness is what Neja will be having. Also, I'm saying it correctly, because I didn't know how to say it before. Sorry for everyone that saw that. Nova. So Nova is also getting one that is, depending on its range, probably going to be very good. So Nova's is going to be that whenever she gets knocked down, all the enemies around her get knocked down, because fuck them. So that's what's going to be going on with that. I would really like to see a knockdown maybe added to her 1 to maybe make some of her powers a little more connected and make Nova perfect. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. That being said, this passive, on a Warframe that's already fantastic, a decent passive becomes really good. Being knocked down is one of the weaknesses that Nova has. This kind of, like, just fills that in a little bit. It's like, okay, you're less weak to being knocked down now because everyone else will get knocked down. That's actually quite good. Pretty happy with that on the whole. Alright, next we've got Nyx. So Nyx's is... It feels like a band-aid, and it feels like they're trying to kind of make up for something that I feel they maybe see as a mistake. So the passive here is that enemies affected by Nyx's abilities have a chance to discard their weapon. So there's a problem here. So Irradiating Disarm exists, which is a augment for Loki that makes his 4 also irradiate enemies, which is basically chaos plus making them lose their weapons whenever you're playing as Loki. This affects all of her powers, and it's a chance. The problem here is that we already have Irradiating Disarm, which is a 100% chance, and this passive is a chance. The other bad thing about this is that is this specific, because if I use my 1 on a Bombard and then they lose their gun, that's no good. That's bad. That's not great. No, that's definitely not what I wanted. So there's some weirdness there. And like it being a chance, like the inconsistency thing. The inconsistency thing is not good. Having consistent passive seems like, because you can't build around a chance. Like unless that chance is like say 90%, you can't really build around it. And if it's something that's below 50%, then it's like you're so unreliable it becomes useless, which is really, really unfortunate. I feel like this passive is not really going to do anything for Nyx, and it's not that Nyx is like in a terrible place right now. Nyx is a pretty good Warframe, but I would have liked to see her get something maybe a little more impactful. Maybe give her some like more unique stuff other than like trying to make her more like trying to like put in some disarming stuff that because Loki already got all of her power. So maybe we should give her some of Loki's, and that feels kind of shitty, honestly. But it is what it is. Also, I forgot to say, it's not just Limbo and Loki. They're together on the list as ones that don't have it. Oberon also does not have a leaked passive. I'll be very interested to see what Tree Man gets, because it'll be hopefully very good, and maybe it can bump him up a little bit. And as much as I'd like to see a rework of him properly, maybe a passive can patch him up a little bit for now. Otherwise, Rhino already has his. This is the heavy impact shockwave. Whenever he falls from great heights, he knocks everyone down. That's fine. Saren also already has one. Her statuses last longer. I think it's 25% longer, which is actually pretty decent. And that is what she does. Trinity, on the other hand, has a leaked one, and it is a real good. So Trinity is going to be able to heal or revive faster and from longer distances. That is actually really good. Because, like, especially if you're an EV. If you're an EV, there's a way higher chance people are going to go down. If you're a Blessed, maybe you fucked up and you can fix your mistakes faster now. That's really good. Super fantastic. That's, like, actually a really good passive to have, especially because she's a support frame. So guess what? She's doing better supporting stuff. It fits with her very well. That's fantastic. Valkyr. Valkyr recovers from knockdown effects much faster than other Warframes. So, here's the thing that I don't... So, Valkyr already has a passive. And this doesn't tell me that that's what it is. Like, that passive that's, like, written on this leak is not what Valkyr already does. Because what Valkyr already does is that she doesn't have heavy impact landings, which means she doesn't get, like, stuck to the ground whenever she hits the ground, ever. I don't know if they're, like, adding this on where she will also be able to get up faster. That would be cool, I suppose. But right now, to my knowledge, her current passive is that she doesn't have the heavy impact landing, which is actually very good for her already. So if she's going to get more added on, I'm not going to argue with you. My favorite Warframe gets more shit. Sure, just slap it on, whatever, right? And then we have a strange one. So this is the one I absolutely under no circumstances understand, because it doesn't make any goddamn sense. So Vauban's armor is going to increase with each ally he has nearby. And I don't know why, because he has 50 armor base, and I mean, I guess it depends on how much it's increasing when teammates get near you, because like Vauban doesn't have like very much health. Like he's not like an outstanding health guy that just never has very much armor. So it seems like a really strange choice, and maybe whenever Vauban Prime releases, it will be like, oh, this is why Vauban has that passive, because regular Oberon has like 1500 health. And then when he gets near allies and he gains like 300 armor for each ally, he actually becomes very hard to kill. That would be very interesting, and it would be real fucking weird for the like engineer type Warframe. But I wouldn't be unhappy with it. It's a real strange choice. I'll definitely say that. Because usually, I mean, he's by his teammates, but he's not really in like a like it's usually if he gets shot, he's dead. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, but maybe like Vauban Prime will show us a reason for it. And then Volt, this is one that we knew about already, but it is technically leaked. And this is like the longer that Volt has been remaining on the ground, he keeps like a charge stacking up that he can release to do more damage on his next attack, which is fine. That's actually a fine passive. We also saw some other stuff that whenever his rework comes out, he's going to be able to pick up his electric shield, which looks absolutely fantastic. And if I can, I'll throw the little clip of that in here. Otherwise, it'll be in the description if you want to see how that looks. Looks like it's shaping up to be real fucking good. Very happy about that. And then otherwise, Wukong and Zephyr already have some. Wukong has his combo counter last longer, and Zephyr has low gravity innately. So, and Zephyr's low gravity innately is kind of just her thing. Wukong's passive is very good. So, those are the new passives that we're getting, and a lot of them seem like really smart or are bringing up Warframes that maybe are struggling a little bit. Like Ashes is a good improvement for him. It definitely makes him to shed a lot more damage, I'm sure. And then Ember, fixing her energy problems that she usually has is a huge thing if it's going to be doing that. Banshee, making it so that threat is taken away from her even more than it usually is a great improvement. Like, there's some good stuff on this list. Hydroids has potential, Necros has potential. We still haven't seen Limbo, Loki, or Oberons, and those obviously could be real big deals. Like something with Loki specifically. Like, Loki is already an amazing Warframe. If Loki got, like, switches weapons faster, that would be fine, because Loki's already great. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do with the remainder of these guys. And then Mags remains to be seen how good that one is, but I have high hopes for it. Overall, the leaked ones seem really good, and it's kind of odd because the leaked ones seem to outshine a lot of the ones we already had by like a pretty large margin in a lot of cases. For example, like Saren has 25% extra like status duration. Like, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it fits with her Warframe and stuff, and like that's okay. But it seems like I feel like Saren would really appreciate something kind of in like the vein of power of where Ember is getting her thing, it appears. Where it's like more damage, or like maybe she'll gain percentage damage as she stacks abilities or something. That would be really good for Saren. I'd like to see that. And then she gets energy refunded for murder with certain types of damage, maybe. I don't know. It's especially ones like Chroma's. Chroma's is one of the ones that seems like not even actually a passive, because it's just kind of a thing that he does that's like related to how his powers function. It's not really anything additional, which is what it kind of feels like passives should be to me personally. But yeah, overall, really good. And I kind of feel like I'm rambling now, so I'm gonna let you guys go. But the link to the Project Nightwatch Leak is in the description along with the Volt Shield link, so check it out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.